Welcome to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid Energy. Zena, Keita here with Warriors insider Monte, Poole. And yes, we're crossing enemy territory again. Got Morgan Reagan here from the Sacramento Kings side of the NBC Sports Bay Area. Morgan. Warriors dropped another one on the road to the Sacramento Kings. They are now 2-0 in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Give me your overview of the game.
Well, this doesn't happen much under Steve Kerr, right? I think this is the first time. Yeah, so it's really interesting, again, being here and talking about this with you guys because so much went down tonight. But I really think when you look at this Sacramento Kings team tonight, points in the paint, perimeter defense, both teams were picking up at the half-court lines. I mean, it was crazy seeing where some of these guys were being picked up, but truly, Davion Mitchell, he ended up winning Defensive Player of the Game chain that the Sacramento Kings do, and he deserved it because of the way that he stayed up, navigated over those screens. Just a fantastic job defensively for the Kings.
That's a great overview. Monte, what do you think from the Warriors side?
I think it's become apparent in the first two games that the Warriors are having trouble with Sacramento's speed and quickness. And you see that with the Warriors trying to defend. And obviously, De'Aaron Fox is, like Mercury. I mean, that dude is hard to follow, hard to keep up with. And right now, they're having trouble with him. And then you got Malik Monk coming at you. You've got so many guys that are quick. Right now, the Kings are quicker to the ball. They're getting more 50-50 balls. And most important, I think, and probably should be surprising, is that the Kings, the team that came in with no playoff experience, didn't know what they were doing, look out, they might fold in crunch time. They've been the better team down the last few minutes of the fourth quarter. When winning time comes, the Warriors, you would think they would have the edge, the experience. They've been here before. They've done all these things before. And the Kings are taking over at the time that the games are there to be won. And that's why they're up 2-0. So it's not a mirage, it's real.
All right, well, let's review. 114-106 was the score. And even though the rebounds were even, there were some things that weren't even. Turnovers. Monte, would you care to talk about that number? Because I know we started, before the game, we talked about fundamentals.
Yes. And, the Warriors are defending NBA champions. They won the championship 10 months ago. And you're watching them play this season and watching them play the first two games of these playoffs, and you're like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
They're still doing the same things, making the same mistakes that they made in the regular season, even after 5 days between the regular season and game one, okay, we're going to tighten up, we'll get this all together. And tonight they had 7 turnovers in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah.
They overcame that.
They did.
But in the end, that second quarter where they had more turnovers and and the defense just couldn't keep up, that's when the game turned, second quarter.
20 turnovers. 20 turnovers to 14. I mean, there was a lot of physicality in this game. There was a lot of pressure, as you mentioned, the perimeter defense. I mean, Sacramento was clogging the lanes, absolutely pressured up. Now, talking about the theme of physicality, there were some things that went down, y'all. Some things that went down. Draymond Green, Domas, got a little tangled up, okay? Now, exactly what happened, I'll lay it out. They went up for an offensive rebound. They went down. Domas went down. Draymond was going away. And as he's trying to run down the court, Domas had his foot tangled up. As Draymond released his foot from that tangled up, as he's trying to press forward, he steps on Domas's ribs. Now, here we are. You can see Domas writhing in pain. We did find out after the game that Domas is getting his ribs getting x-rayed. We talked to Draymond post-game. He mentioned he had nowhere else to step. He's not that flexible. He does have some wear and tear on his body. All right, there's been quite a few seasons on that body. He said he's not as flexible, couldn't step out any further. He had to step somewhere, and that the final message from the referees was that he stomped too hard. So those are the facts of the game. We saw it on the video. This is what was said. Now thoughts.
That's exactly it. It's not he stepped, he stomped, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, you look at the whole thing. Domas grabbing the leg from the start,
That's
right?
where it started.
And it's like, when that's going to obviously make anyone mad, but it's going to especially make someone like Draymond Green mad. And you and I, we've hooped.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I definitely took an extra rake at the face. I don't think any kids at home should do that. But I know, my point is, you just do it sometimes because it's intense, you're competitive. Same thing with the little veteran grab of the leg. I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
And Draymond's stomp is not right either. That was all just bad. I'm glad that Domas got the technical. I'm glad that WWE Draymond Green got ejected in that moment, though.
Now, so that is the biggest question around that, right? Is it correct that in a situation where the physicality started with Domas tangling up, and in a game, it was a 4-point game at that point, a very key play. I believe 6 or so minutes were still on the clock.
7
minutes
yep,
still on the
7:03.
clock. Is it, and that's the debate that's going on around
Right,
Twitter,
right.
everyone, should he have been ejected?
I think in that situation, first of all, Domas grabbed him, which is why he got the technical foul. You know, he was wrong to do that. It's a dirty play when you grab somebody. What Draymond did was an overreaction. And when you overreact like that, and it looks so violent, the referee doesn't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. He overdid it.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Draymond is so important to this team, especially in the fourth quarter. His defense is needed.
Right.
And when I think he had to know when he did that. I understand he didn't have any place to go. The guy grabbed his foot. He's trying to get away, but it did look pretty dang hard. And so I think the penalties probably fit the crime. I mean, Domas got hit with a technical. Steph shot free throw, and then Draymond got ejected. It's hard to say, okay, we just saw that, but it's okay, play on. It's hard to do that. I understand that.
Sure. I think there's also, separate of the incident is the theatrics around it, right? You just mentioned the competition. Trust me, yes, I do remember some extra rakes, some extra pinches, some extra elbows.
Man.
We were having fun back in the day, okay? Don't worry, don't worry about that.
Is fun?
But that's what Draymond said, right? And that's what I'm getting to when in Draymond's presser at the end of the game. Tim Kawakami from The Athletic asked him about, some of the antics that he was doing after the game, if you want to call it that, riling up the crowd and getting involved, getting up on a chair and all the above. And he said he was having fun.
That part is fun.
And
for Draymond, yeah, it is.
For sure.
It is. Other guys may not do that. But for Draymond, he revels in that attention and in that moment. I mean, he likes to amp up the intensity.
Sure. What do you think it does for the King side to be able to see that? Do they think they're winning because they've got him in it, or are they kind of like, oh, we might have unleashed a beast?
Can we just say that was probably the most that we have seen Draymond Green, right? Like, we've seen a lot of antics and rallying up the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, what was that game against?
Last year against Memphis, it got pretty rowdy.
Right.
He
He
got
did.
rowdy in Boston. So we've seen this before. I don't know if I've seen Draymond get up on a chair
That's
like that.
where
though.
I'm going.
I don't know if I've
That's
seen
where
that
I'm
part
going.
before.
He utilized the
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah.
He utilized, we've seen the arms thrown
Yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
then it very much felt like a WWE performance, which honestly made me kind of enjoy the entertainment of it.
Yeah.
Truly,
Yeah.
I don't like anyone getting hurt,
Right.
but I do enjoy the dramatic theatrics of that. So either way, though, I think for the Kings, it gets to them in the sense of oh, heck no, you did not just do that to our guy. Now we're going to rally in a different physical, competitive way. But that's when I was surprised, you guys. They stayed in it and composed. And actually, that's what Alex Len said after the game to me, too. Just staying poised was the most important thing for them.
Yeah, and it showed. I mean, and honestly, these first two games, the Warriors have been the more skittish team. Which is not what you would expect.
Right.
And that's what it's been, and that's been a big difference. The Warriors gave away 25 points off turnovers. The Kings gave away 9.
Right.
When you have that kind of imbalance, it swings it wildly toward the winning team, and that's why Sacramento was able to win this game.
It's interesting, when you wrote about this, you said this is kind of like the nouveau riche against the aristocrats, right?
Yeah.
The kids versus the adults.
Yeah.
And Sacramento's been coming out real mature.
Yes, exactly.
Right? They've been coming out real mature
Yes, they have.
in the way that they've been handling this. So Draymond Green ejected out of this game. he said in his presser he knows he's got some things to work on, right? The first turnover that he had to just kind of set the tone for the team. And I think that there's a lot of adulting that the Warriors have to do in looking at the mistakes that they've made.
Absolutely.
For sure. So I know we do have Steph Curry at the podium, but before we get to that, Morgan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you.
We usually don't cross into enemy territory. However, we do appreciate your takes.
Well, Morgan isn't really an enemy. She's not. Yeah, yeah.
She's not. She's not a homer. She also told me that. She's fair. She played basketball. She knows hoops.
Yes.
So we always appreciate your insight.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
All
for
right,
coming.
let's hear what Steph Curry.
Steph, a lot going on in that game, but through it all, last few minutes, tie game. Looked like you guys had some momentum. What happened there to cause you to lose?
They just made a couple more plays down the stretch in terms of putting pressure on our defense. Fox got into the lane a couple times, forced us to make decisions on who we could give a shot up to. But I like the way we fought back and competed. After not playing well in the first half at all, still giving ourselves a chance and having some life, but obviously wasn't enough. So biggest lesson is just how do we control the momentum early, knowing that they're young, athletic, they're trying to play with force. We can match that, but we just got to play with a little bit more IQ in terms of what we're trying to do on both ends of the floor.
What did you think about? Did you see the Sabonis Draymond thing, and did that change the dynamic of the game at all? Did that change what you were feeling, what the team was feeling?
I didn't see it happen live. I got a rebound. I was headed down the other way. I know he grabbed his foot, and I don't know what you're supposed to do in that situation. He obviously finished the rest of the game, so I know he's a tough guy, but I'm sure he's going to be all right. But it's just a matter of, after that, we tied the game with whatever it was, 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. So we still responded. You'd love to have Draymond out there, obviously, to finish a game just because of what he does for us. But yeah, I didn't think it was anything other than what they said it was, and hopefully move on to Game 3.
Steph, you guys have been through every scenario, but this is a new one for you, being down 0-2 to start a series. What's your thoughts about that?
You got to embrace it. You do this as long as we have, and whatever it is, 28 series or whatever, and we've never been in this situation. So, got to stay together, stay locked in on things we need to do better, embrace the challenge of protecting our home court, which you've done great all year. And at the end of the day, all we got to do is, win one game here, somehow, some way, whatever game it is. So, that's the old saying, the series doesn't start until somebody wins on the other team's home floor. If we want to, get ourselves back into it, it's going to start with a focused effort on Game 3 at home and, get our crowd into it early and try to throw the first punch in terms of, how we come out with the right intentions.
Steph, it seems like Mike Brown is determined to, take you out of the offense and, pressure you real high out. How is that impacting the shots you get and the looks you are receiving out there?
We haven't gotten as much off-ball, for me, off-ball, relocation looks and stuff like that, but it's a long series, and you just got to continue to try to make the right play. I think they're obviously putting Mitchell out there, just telling him to guard 94 feet, knowing they're going to have bodies behind him, and, he's giving great effort out there. So still finding ways to get into the lane, kicking out, finding shooters, trying to continue to put pressure on them. I think we can make a couple adjustments in terms of negating that pressure, and we'll look at the film and figure out how to do that. But all the ones off the dribble are they've been pretty tough ones, and I got to make the right adjustments to be more a little efficient, especially from outside the three-point line.
Steph, when you guys clinched in Portland, you talked a lot about, playoffs are a new beast. It's kind of a fresh start. You guys obviously have a ton of experience in the postseason. Seems like, though, a lot of the issues, fouling, turnovers, are stuff that plagued you guys, occasionally throughout the season. How tough is it, after 82 regular season games, 2 playoff games, to shake habits, I guess, your issues that you've tried to deal with all year?
It's hard, but winning at this stage is hard, and if we're gonna do it, we gotta again be more mindful about those specific things. And I think the confidence that we have is even maybe delusional as it sounds. It's like we continue to make the same mistakes, but still compete at a high level and show what we're capable of. And it's a kind of a 2 or 3 possession game here or there, down the stretch on the road. So we know we have it. We know we're capable. It's just can we execute? And that question will determine our fate in the series. And I like our ability to lock in on that and try to get off to a good start at home on Game 3.
Steph, Tony Harvey, NBC Sports Radio. De'Aaron Fox. Of course, this is his first time, being on a big stage like this, and you've been through it, so many times. Just want to get your thoughts on, and it's still a young series with 2 more games, going back to San Francisco. Just want to get your thoughts on what he's doing and what he has done for this organization since he's been here.
I just continue to get better every year and put themselves in a position to be a playoff team after that long drought. And he's, extremely talented, and he's quick. He puts pressure on you every possession. He knows his strengths, and he tries to use them. So I think he's playing with a lot of confidence, and, he's been doing that all year. So it's what we expected, but, again, we still kind of understand what it's going to take to turn this series in our favor. But we know we're going to have to play great to beat it. They're a great team. He's been a big catalyst for that all year. So there's no surprises. It's just a matter of can we slow it down.
Now, thinking of someone that's going to help slow it down, and the Warriors are incredibly grateful to have back Andrew Wiggins. Went from playing 28 minutes last game, his very first game back after missing over 25 games, 26 games. 39 minutes tonight, contributed 22 points. Still a little rough on the three-point shooting, 2 of 8 from the floor, but contributing. What'd you make from him coming back as a starter?
I thought Wiggins played well for the most part. He was in the plus-minus category. He was an even 0, which in a game where you lose, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. 9 of 19 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3. 5 rebounds, got a steal. So I thought Wiggins' activity level, again, I think he's still shaking off some rust, but for the most part, he looked good, especially early, making shots. So the lineup that the Warriors want to begin games with is back out there. And that first quarter was ugly, but they had a 6-point lead. They had a million turnovers, and they still had a 6-point lead. In the second quarter is when it kind of broke down. And so but Wiggins, I like what he's doing.
I do too. I tweeted about this. His jersey was out for most of the game, and it gave me AAU vibes, right? The way he was flying all up and down the court, I felt like he had the energy for the Warriors and was one of the very few players out there that truly was playing with this kind of boosted energy as opposed to let's get up half court, let's get set up, And so I really, really appreciated that he was bringing that level of zest to his defense and everything. But the Warriors are going to have to match that and match the physicality that's showing up on the other side. But you just mentioned this game got a little ugly in a second. We're going to talk about what made those things not so pretty on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. This is Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by FitAid.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by FitAid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. FitAid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
Now, YouTube, we appreciate y'all joining us. Y'all are coming hard in these comments. Whoo! I'm telling you, some of you need to have some meetings set up with Joe Lacob yourself. Because, man, the way you guys are talking about switching up this team already, we still have to go back to Chase Center, okay? Like, let's just, come on, guys, come on. Stay with us. Let's stay with us. Speaking of Chase Center, what are your thoughts about what's about to happen when you go back?
Well, I mean, I think that for the Warriors, you know, they're much more comfortable at home. They have been that way all season. This team, you know, was 11-30 on the road. And so for them to lose on the road, I think the surprise is not that they lost on the road. The surprise is that they lost on the road 2 games in the playoffs. When you thought, okay, now their intensity is going to go up, their focus is going to go up, all those things that nagged them on the road is going to go away, and they haven't. They're playing a team that is quicker than they are, younger than they are, springier than they are, and you're seeing it. They're struggling with that. And so the Warriors have to be really at the top of their game, I think, to beat this team, and you haven't seen that at all the first 2 games.
You know whose head I would love to be in right now? Steve Kerr's. Because it's so hard to know what your team is capable of, to see the dynasty that they have, you know, created. And yet the thing that's holding them back from extending that right now is themselves. The things that you learn when you first start playing basketball. And that's so, it seems so rudimentary, right? To be like, hey, Klay Thompson, future Hall of Famer, like, ball fake. You know what I mean? Like little simple things like that. It seems silly.
Yeah, if they do those things, it would help. And I just think, again, this is going to be a tough series anyway. But it's made tougher because the Warriors have been so sloppy, which you couldn't expect that.
All right, welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. It is time to talk about the things that made this game not so pretty. Before the game, Monte and I checked in with Warriors pregame live, and we talked about a beautiful word in basketball, the thing that makes programs dynasties, the things that make players Hall of Famers, and that's fundamentals. Those are the basics of the game. The things that make you great are just making sure that you take care of the ball. That you make the right passes, you make the right plays, you choose the right things, and this plagued the Warriors. Turnovers.
The Warriors had 9 turnovers in the first quarter. So did the Kings. But the difference is that the Warriors' turnovers were live ball turnovers, and the Kings scored 10 points off of them. The Warriors only got 4 points off of Sacramento's turnovers. Second half, the Warriors cut down their turnovers, but their defense got into trouble. And so they couldn't defend the Kings, and that's why Sacramento scored not 25, not 30, not 35, not 40, 41 points in the second quarter. Whenever a team scores 41 points on you in a quarter, that tells you they're working your defense. They are smoking your defense, and that's what happened in that second quarter. And so when you look at the fact that the Kings had 12 points in the paint in that quarter, and they had 7 fast break points, 11 second chance points, they won the quarter because they were more, I want to say, more ferocious. You know, they came after that. They were behind after 1, and they were like, we're down only 6, and you know, we should have done more with that. And they made up for it in the second quarter.
Their aggression was just palpable throughout the entire game. And when you're talking about they smoked that defense, what was so tough was that the Warriors weren't able to do another fundamental thing, defend without fouling. And this is another thing that the Warriors have had on their tick box, right? All season. Is being able to match that aggression without fouling. Now, comments could be made about the whistle. Right? And which way the whistle was going and officiating, etc. However, there were enough calls there that the Warriors were called against where it was like, all right, you're not matching that physicality.
That's right.
If this was just your identity, then maybe I don't have to blow that whistle, but it's not.
And you're seeing that, and it makes a difference. And right now the Warriors they're struggling to find who they are. This is not last season. You know, where last season the Warriors flipped the script in the postseason. Not seeing it now.
Okay, well, we do have to go back to Chase Center. We're going to talk about the keys to the game when we get back to San Francisco right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Fit Aid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. Fit Aid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
Last season, the Warriors.
Wait for it. Go.
Yeah, last season the Warriors got to the postseason, and you saw a different team. I mean, they were locked in. They weren't perfect, but they were locked in, and you saw them sort of they were composed, and this team is really doing a number on them.
Yeah.
And you've seen. I think it's premature to say the Warriors are finished, but we've seen this movie before, where teams that have done a lot of winning. At some point, you are going to hit a wall.
Yeah.
You are going to not be able to keep up with the teams that are coming after you.
Right.
And you're seeing signs of that now. I don't know if the Warriors are going to win this series or if the Kings are going to win this series, but I know the directions are pointing toward the Warriors being in trouble.
It makes me think of the Spurs. It makes me think of Manu and Tony
TP and Duncan.
And Duncan. And there's, at some point, the people around you retire, they leave. They go find other teams, right?
Yeah.
And even if you have your core, sometimes that can't just be enough, right? And not even just talent on the floor, culture as well, right? And you've got to have a confidence and a swagger that comes with whoever's coming in. And I think last year, the people that were coming in, even Bielitsa, there's a swagger of, I've been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm good, Otto Porter was the same way. These were vets.
Last year, most of the guys that were coming off the bench were guys that either A, were trying to prove they still belong in the league, Otto and
Great
Bentley,
point.
and or either trying or they had to scrap to get in the league. GP2, Juan, Damian Lee.
Oh, there was,
all
there was
those
an
guys.
underdog about it.
All of those guys had that.
That's
This is
such
a different
good
group
point.
now.
That's a good point.
Different group.
That's such a good point. Oh, I could talk about that forever. Okay, sorry.
Those guys were dogs last year.
They were.
Yeah.
All right, Devs Talk Live brought to you by Fit Aid and Energy is what is going to be needed on April 20th when the Warriors go back to San Francisco Chase Center to go for Game 3 in the first round against the Sacramento Kings. Keys to the game, Monte.
Take care of the ball first and foremost. The Warriors outshot the Kings in this game.
Yeah.
But the Kings got 10 more shots because the Warriors had 22 turnovers. The Kings had 14. The Warriors gave up 25 points off turnovers. They only got 9 off turnovers. So when you get out, when you're minus 16 in points off turnovers, it's hard to win. And so you look at that. I just think the Warriors take care of the ball first and foremost. They'll make shots, but they still have to deal. Their defense has to pick up. You have to do a better job picking up De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk.
Contain that youth.
Yes.
Right? All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Warriors go down 114-106, but they're back at Chase Center. We'll be back after the game. Karis will be back.
Yeah, she will.
Night, y'all.
This is, we're watching this series, and like I said, it's just, proud championship teams never want to face the fact that they're getting on in years, that it gets harder every year.
Yeah.
And, but this season was trying to warn us that this postseason might be tough. And just because you were seeing the Kings, and I think the tendency was to think, well, the Kings never been in the postseason. De'Aaron Fox never been there. Malik Monk never been there. And, Keegan Murray's a rookie, all these things. And the Warriors, man, they're veterans here. This is their playground. This is where they go every year. And
that was the storyline.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you watched in Game 1, you watched Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox, 2 playoff virgins, take over in the fourth quarter. That's ominous.
Yeah.
You're the Warriors like, whoa, these guys, aren't they supposed to be nervous or something,
Right.
Well, De'Aaron Fox is a contender. He's one of the finalists for the Clutch Player of the Year award for good reason.
And he's showing it out. Right. He's showing why.
You're seeing it.
Just in case you forgot why.
Yes,
he lets you know. Yeah.
So he's only, like I say, he's quick, but he's also confident. And you see that. You see that.
So, we were just talking about the dogs, right?
Yeah.
And in that fight.
Yep.
I do think there is something to be said of the Coach of the Year, Mike Brown.
Yeah.
And the confidence he has instilled in these younger players.
Yep.
Or playoff inexperienced players, right? He's like, I've been there. I love what he said in the pregame today, Mike Brown was asked about adjustments. How much does he adjust for what the Warriors are doing versus what he needs to adjust for his own players? And he said, rather than trying to put play 1, play 2, play 3, or adjustment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he's like, I don't want to complicate it for my folks. And guess what? When you're confident and you know what you're doing, you don't adjust for everybody else.
Right. Yep.
You believe in what you're capable of doing, and I think that he has instilled that in them, and it's very much showing. It's very much showing.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that didn't know success until this year, but they handled it pretty well.
Yeah.
They handled it pretty well. And, you know, yeah, they had the first 2 games on their home court, but the Kings were not a great home court team. They were a better road team.
Exactly.
They were a good road team.
They were 25-16 on the road.
Yeah, so they were a better road team than they were a home team.
Yeah.
The Warriors, of course, we know that they've had issues on the road, and I think the thought was that, well, you know, okay, it's the playoffs now. Watch them, you know, they'll pull it together and they'll be ready for the crowds don't intimidate the Warriors. The crowd is not what's doing the number on the Warriors. It's the Kings. It's the Kings. It ain't the crowd.
Kings.
The Warriors are not bothered by the crowd. It's the Kings.
They actually like the crowd.
Yeah, they don't mind it at all. That ain't the issue.
It's the Kings. It's the pressure they're putting on them. It's them being in passing lanes. It's them making the casual passes that they usually get away with. Well, they haven't really gotten away with it. But the things that they want to try and get away with, they're there.
Yeah.
They're long, they're active, they're energetic. I mean, the comment was on YouTube. One of y'all said it. Father Time is showing up.
Yeah, it is. It is. The only question is whether it's caught them. But it's coming. We know it's coming. We know it's coming.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Father Time doesn't seem to show up that much on home court.
That's going to be the key. If they can even the series, I mean, the Warriors have to win a game in Sacramento to win the series. And, you know, I think they would have been happy with a split.
Yeah.
But now,
They got to
they're
go.
0-2. They've not been here before. This is new to them. They've not been at 0-2. They've been down 3-1, but 0-2?
You know, Clay was asked about that, and he was like, you know, we've been up 3-1, we've been down 3-1, or, you know, we've gone through everything. And I just wanted to be like, well, not this.
Yes, this is different.
This is different.
Yep.
And it's also different regardless, and I think that's kind of been like the theme, whether, you know, it's Steve saying this, or Clay saying this, or Draymond saying it, even like Curry's been saying this. Everyone's been saying, well, we've been through these things. We've been through the book. Like, they've thrown the book at us. We've gone through it. I agree. They are the most resilient team, I would say, particularly in playoff experience. However, you've been through all of this. Have you done it now? While you've got a target on your back, while you've got Father Time catching up with you, right behind you, while you've got parity in the league, right? These are all these contextual elements that are new. To when you had all these other things happening.
Preach.
Right? I'm just
Preach.
saying.
No,
I'm
but
just saying.
yes,
It's
you are.
different.
You're bringing it, though.
So I think that there is fact in you've had everything thrown at you.
Yes.
But you're now getting this in a new context.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, no team is going to say, you know what, we can't do it anymore.
Right.
They have to be shown
it.
They all have to be shown they can't do it anymore. And right now, the Kings are putting the Warriors on their back against the wall, saying, guys, we think we can take you. And right now, the Warriors can't do anything with them. So we'll see what happens when they get to Chase.
Definitely see what happens when we get to Chase. I'm very, very excited to see what the playoff atmosphere is.
Oh, yeah.
At Chase.
It'll be fine.
I mean, obviously we know what happened last year, but this particular one with this NorCal battle, right?
There's some desperation behind this one, too.
And there's some desperation.
Yeah.
So is it going to be like the Oracle vibes in there? The Roracle vibes in there?
They need to be loud.
I mean, they need to be loud. They need to bring it, because when I tell you, Sacramento had Golden One Center popping, it was insane in there. Anyhow.
Okay.
All right, Monte, with that, you got more things to talk about
We
in
go
Dubs
back
Talk podcast, right?
Yes, we do.
All right.
All right.
Well, we'll be back Thursday. Kareth Burke will be back. I'm very excited to see what she thinks about all this. She's gonna be like, really, guys? I go out of town. That's what you do? No, I'm joking. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Thanks, YouTube. Bye.
We'll see you next time.